Welcome back to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast, the podcast where we have real and honest conversations about mental health and healing. And so today I'm excited to welcome Sam, who has been on a powerful journey living with and managing borderline personality disorder. Over the past 16 years, Sam has learned what it takes to move forward towards healing, remission, and a life of purpose. So she's here today to share with us her story, her challenges, and her message of hope for others walking a similar path. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Good, glad. I'm glad you were able to come on and make accommodations and adjustments in your schedule. So thank you for coming on.
Oh,
All
it's
right,
my
Sam.
pleasure.
Thank you. So, you know what, Sam? So, to get us started, I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, as you mentioned, I'm Sam. I'm a Canadian woman, now living in Cambodia, in Southeast Asia. So I actually left Canada in 2016. I sold almost everything I had. I left everybody except for my husband, who came with me. And I just left in search of myself and my purpose, and just see what the universe had to offer me. Basically, I the typical Western lifestyle was not working for me. It was sending me toward another nervous breakdown. So I was like, well, I think I need to switch it up. And I decided that travel was going to be the way for me to switch it up. So that journey, starting in 2016, has brought me to over 12 countries and counting. And since 2020, I've been here in Cambodia. So that's over 5 years now.
Mhm.
And through my experiences, I've transformed myself. I went from being like a married woman to now I have a daughter, which is awesome for someone who is diagnosed with PCOS. I went from being an addict to an advocate for sober living. And I've gone from feeling very misaligned. As I mentioned, I was on the road to another nervous breakdown, to just having a deep knowing and confidence in my role as a guide for women in my community, as well as for women worldwide struggling with BPD. So yeah, that's what I love, and that's about me.
Okay. Sounds like your story is a lot of empowerment and resilience. So, I thank you for shedding light around your story because I like for people to know that, yeah, there is such thing as light at the end of the tunnel. You know, you may have to go through some obstacles, but you can do it. So, thank you for sharing that. So,
My pleasure.
with borderline personality disorder, there may be some who are not quite familiar with that. So, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So borderline personality disorder, or BPD as it's known.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say before I dive a little deeper, it's not a life sentence. Like, it's not like one of those, once you're diagnosed, like you'll never um, grow through it or go
Mm-hmm.
into remission. Anything is possible. So I just wanted to frame that first of all. So it's actually a nervous system response to complex trauma, usually in our formative years. It is a complex mental health condition that, as I mentioned, stems from deep early relational trauma, especially trauma that was perhaps inconsistent or just invisible at times.
Mm-hmm.
It can show up as extreme emotional sensitivity, rapid mood shifts, a fear of abandonment that can be felt in the body and just come out of nowhere, honestly. And can also present itself as impulsive behaviors that are honestly just desperate attempts to feel safe or seen. So just in order to receive a diagnosis, first of all, I think with most mental health things, it's not something that you should self-diagnose. And specifically in the case of BPD, nobody under the age of 18 should receive this diagnosis, from my understanding anyways. The reason it is for that is because it is a personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So when, somebody's a teenager, they're still kind of figuring out who they are. So it's not really appropriate to label younger people with this disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be diagnosed, you have to meet the criteria of 5 symptoms out of 9. There's 9 criteria that, as some of that I mentioned already, like the relational trauma, the fear of abandonment, rapid mood shifts, impulsivity, et cetera, et cetera. So it actually can also be genetic. So for me specifically, it's honestly really hard to say, is it genetic or is it like nature versus nurture? That like classic nature versus nurture debate. Because I definitely got it from both sides. Like it's nature and it's nurture for me. Sometimes I like make a joke. I was like, as I just mentioned, it's not possible to like be born with BPD, but also like if it was possible, that would be me. So yeah, that's BPD in a nutshell for you and anyone listening.
Okay. Thank you for that education, because I am really just like learning or trying to educate myself around it. So thank you for bringing that awareness. I think that'll bring clarity to the viewers who will watch this later on. And so with BPD, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your early years when you first were diagnosed?
Yeah. So for me, not knowing and not trusting myself was really, really something that I struggled with. And I mean, I'm not like, although I consider myself to be in remission, I wouldn't say that I'm like completely perfect at everything all the time. I am trying to more lean into God or the divine or the universe or whatever we're calling it. But I'm trying to lean more into just trusting that rather than questioning myself all the time. But earlier on, it was something that I really struggled with. Like, what is actually me? And what are just the things that I had picked up from other people in an attempt to be liked? As I did struggle to build my own identity and not know who I was. Like I really wore a mask for most people in my life. I didn't want them to leave me because again, that fear of abandonment. So what can I do to make sure that this person doesn't leave me? Oh, they like shopping. Well, so do I. I love shopping. Let's go shopping together. Like it was just very much this pull that I felt like I needed to respond to. It was also something that was really difficult for me. I was diagnosed when I was 20 years old. So just coming to terms with the fact that many of the behaviors that I had learned from my mother, who undiagnosed BPD, were toxic and unhealthy and were just damaging myself and those around me. That's not just a BPD thing, but when we're younger, we see our parents as our heroes. And, often in our 20s, we kind of come to terms with, oh, they're doing their best, but they're not so heroic sometimes, and processing that anger, going through all of the kind of emotions that come with that. And then now I'm at a place where I can love my mom for who she is. And, she recognized that she's doing the best she can with the tools that she had available to her. Because I mean, if I were to tell you her story it's a very sad one, and there's been a lot of struggles for her. So anyways, yeah, there's been some challenges, but I have now framed them kind of as blessings, because I needed to go through these lessons to be who I am today. And not to be like vain or anything, but I really love who I am today. I don't have this like self-hate anymore where I'm like, oh, I'm so terrible. Like I'm not there anymore, and it feels great. So I've just kind of reframed my mind in that way. The challenges are lessons and blessings.
I love your answer. And you said a key word. You said remission. And so that is something that I try to encourage people to, that remission is possible. But I had to educate them, because when they heard the word remission, they would think, oh, it's over. I was like, nope,
Mm,
remission is a lifelong thing. I have to work daily, and there are others. We have to work daily to remain in remission. Sometimes we still go through things, up days, down days, but remission is possible. But it's a daily thing that you have to live in it. So
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I think, you know what, anybody that goes through something, and I mean, maybe this is controversial, but I feel like so many people are addicts. So to stop something that you were addicted to, you're in remission from addiction. And it doesn't have
Hmm.
to be, heroin or something. It could
Right.
literally just be coffee or
Yep.
cigarettes or something. And you have a hard day and you're like, oh, I just really want that coffee.
Hmm.
You're in remission, and that's okay. And maybe you might slip up, but the important part is you get back on the horse. You're not that I said if you fall off the horse, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
you get back on and you keep going and you say, okay, I made a mistake there. I won't have that again. I'm back on.
Hmm.
That's remission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you highlighted that too, because you're correct. When people hear the word remission, the stigma around remission is it has something to do with some type of substance abuse, and that's not necessarily the case. It could be someone's uh, mental health diagnosis, or like you say, coffee. I mean, you can be addicted to a lot. So I'm glad that
Hmm.
you highlighted that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first came on, you were talking about your traveling experience, and so how has your traveling experience and starting over, how has that played a role in your healing, and did those experiences impact your mental health journey?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. It really, traveling just kind of, it gave me a chance, first of all, to get out of my comfort zone,
Mhm.
because I really recognized that I was very comfortable in my Canadian life, but it was like choose your hard. Like, it was like I don't want to say hated my life, because I didn't hate it, but it wasn't serving me anymore.
Mhm.
So leaving everything and almost everyone behind was really a chance to get out of my comfort zone and just be like completely shocked by the world, which I
Mhm.
needed. Um, I have to tell a quick side story if you don't mind.
Cool.
The first place we went to after Canada, like we had a quick like 1 day layover in Los Angeles, and then our first stop on our trip in 2016 was Hawaii, and we decided to do workawaying, which for people who don't know what that is, it's basically like a work in exchange for food and accommodation, or just accommodation. But it's a great way to travel long term, because
Mm.
first of all, you get to meet local people. You're not in like held up in some hotel where you don't get to interact with people.
Mhm.
And it's just a great exchange of, maybe you're working on a farm, maybe you're working in a hostel. It's a really wonderful way to travel. So if anyone's interested, the website is workaway.info. um, I'm not like a affiliate or anything. I just really highly
Mhm.
recommend it. But anyway, so the first place we went to was a farm in Hawaii, and it was just, we arrived to the farm, we like hitchhiked. It was just this completely surreal experience, coming from like tech support in Canada to like, 2 weeks later I'm hitchhiking in Hawaii, and I'm like, I've
Right.
never hitchhiked before. So we got to the farm, and it was like, here's your tent. You're sleeping in this tented platform, and I was like, oh, okay, this is okay. And they're like, and here's your bucket with some sawdust, and this is your toilet. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, all right, sounds good. I'll just have the best sleep of my life here, and I we pulled back the blanket, and it was just like, I want to say like three cockroaches just came out of the bed, because it was just outside. Like, and I was just like, what have I done?
Right.
Like, I went from like comfortable Canadian living to like tent life. It was in a bucket, and I was just so like shocked. But I needed that, because I really needed to get out of my own head, and like, I wanted to work on the land, and I wanted to work in permaculture. So better figure it out, like, you can't be staying in tech support in Canada and also be like, oh, I'm really into permaculture. Like, am I doing permaculture or am I watching videos on permaculture? It's two separate things, you know? So, so yeah, it really gave me a chance to just kind of transform myself and to be like, I was unknown other than, you know, my husband obviously knew me, but otherwise I was unknown. So I could really just play with being myself instead of being like, okay, I have to put that back with that old persona back, or, you know, I could be anonymous if I wanted to. I didn't have to be locked into my old self.
Mm-hmm.
It also, as I mentioned, like it gave me a chance to see the real world. I wasn't just like watching it through a screen anymore, which was something I did a lot in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I was, you know, living vicariously through other people instead of like having my own life. And I just, I needed that because I was so tired of just watching things and being on the sidelines. And yeah, it really also just made me realize that like many of the things I was struggling with, and not to say that for anybody else, this is just my own experience. Uh, in comparison, some of the struggles that I had were completely minute compared to the struggles of other people I saw while
Mm-hmm.
traveling. And it just really like flicked me in the face, you know, like it was just like, oh, okay, Western problems, valid, but I'm not living in a tarp with four poles on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that there aren't people in the West that are living that way too, and my heart goes out to them, of course, anybody. But, you know, there's levels to this, you know? So it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I really needed that reality check. And it also helped me realize the humanity of us all and that we all just want to be loved, you know? And lastly, it really helped me realize that the world is a lot kinder and people are a lot nicer than we are shown through screens. Like
Yeah.
it's really like, especially if you're watching the news or any kind of like media where it's not just somebody, a normal person filming, you're being given a lens that may not actually be true. And going out there firsthand really showed me that the world is actually a really kind place for the most part. And some people are going to say, yeah, no, but from my experience, it really was and is.
But you mentioned something too. You said, "Get out of my head," and you made me think of Brian Sachetta. He is out of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm not getting any promotion or anything off this, but he has a podcast. It's great too, and it's called "Get Out of My Head." So he kind of talks about some of the things that you were talking about getting out of that space. And so he's on Spotify and a couple of other different platforms. But that's a great podcast to listen to. And so
Nice.
lastly, please forgive me. I'm just getting new glasses and my eyes are watering for whatever reason. But I wanted to ask you lastly, do you have
Yeah.
any advice or encouragement that you would give someone newly diagnosed with BPD who feels overwhelmed or they might even feel hopeless too?
Yeah. So uh for me, I am probably gonna sound completely different than anything anybody else would say, but for me, I would say, like speaking to this person directly, this is actually the best thing that could have happened to you because now you can start to work on yourself in a way that you maybe couldn't have been able to do so before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, what really helped is I looked at the 9 criteria that I aligned with, and then just see like what work can be done, like what tools can be used so that that part of the disorder is no longer a problem for you. Another thing I will say, and we touched on earlier, is remission is absolutely possible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely possible. Over 75% of people go into remission within 10 years, and even less when you have the right tools. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have to, one more thing as well, you don't have to struggle alone. Uh, find someone that you can talk to about it. Like where people are stronger together. Trying to go at anything alone is, in my opinion, a mistake. We're social
Mm-hmm.
beings as humans. So, you know, find somebody, even if it's online, like that it doesn't matter where they are, just finding that connection is so important. And most importantly, this is like my little motto, I guess. You are the hero of your story. You are not the victim of your story. You're not the perpetrator. You're not the savior of this. You're the hero. So think about that and go from there.
Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
also too, I wanted to give you a few moments. If you have any resonating thoughts that you would like to leave for the viewers who will watch this later on, if you have any contact information about your services that you offer, books, whatever you want to talk about, this is a good time.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, so I have a website. It's BPD2 like TO bliss bpd2bliss.com. I actually have a quiz on there, a free quiz for anybody who feels like they resonate with the symptoms of BPD or they've been diagnosed, just to kind of get you in the right direction for what tools you can use based on the quiz results. It's just, I think, quick, like a 2-minute quiz, very simple, and just easy to apply. Some of the tools are free that you could just find yourself. Like it's just there for people to help themselves and get started on the right track. It can also be found on Instagram and Facebook, BPD2Bliss. Same thing, same with the .com, or without the .com, I should say. And also for any women listening, I do actually also have a virtual BPD women's friendship circle that I run monthly. It's free right now. It's in the early stages, and it's basically just a place for women to connect with each other without trauma dumping or, spouting advice that nobody asked for. It's just a place where we can connect with other women who just get it. So yeah, that's me. And I also offer one-to-one coaching. But more on that another time, I'm sure.
Okay. And they can, for your coaching, they can also find us on your website too, if they want to. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make sure that I put your contact information, your website information there too, so people can look out for that. Okay.
Wonderful.
So, again, I want to thank you for coming on. The Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast is just that, about empowering and educating the community. So I want to thank you for doing your part for helping me to break yet another stigma around mental health.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Thank you. All right. I'll be in touch with you soon. And again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much.
All right. You
Have a
take
nice
care.
day, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.